47 designated historic buildings. Still got our outhouse out back. That's fun, walking on a wooden deck. Maybe I shouldn't be up here. It does feel kind of like the Old West. Again, this is the original route to Yosemite National Park. And I'm on this trail all by my lonesome. A lot of talent print, more talent prints than footprints. You were literally lowered into the bottom of the cave in what they call basically a bathtub. Well, y'all, good morning from Coulterville, California. We're in a little pocket here in Mariposa County, looking right up Main Street and the big tree there. Just about every Sunday morning back in the day, as they now say, I would park my motorcycle right there. We would come through here, park, usually come across to this store right over here, which is now closed down. Grab some water, maybe a snack, Gatorade, whatever, get back on the road. Or sometimes in the Hotel Jeffery here, there's actually a little restaurant in there, and we'd go in there and have a meal sometimes. And what I was reading as of August of this year, that is now shut down. So things are as busy as it is up here. Some of these old establishments that I used to hang out in, way back in my 20s and 30s, they're shut down now. That's what brings me back up here. I had not been up here probably in at least 10, maybe even 15 years. And I was taking family up through to Yosemite, and they wanted to see the Hetch Hetchy side of the park, and then we went from there into the main park, which, by the way, I didn't know this, but only 3% of park visitors actually go to Hetch Hetchy. But anyway, the quick access, at least for me, was going through Coulterville. All right, so I ducked out in the car. It is busy here. Caltrans is in town, rolling through town with all their equipment. Even the dump trucks are rolling through town. So I ducked out back in the comfort of my car. I should say the quietness of my car. All right, so Coulterville, we're gonna do a quick run around here. I just, after coming back through here a few weeks ago, as I mentioned earlier, a lot's changed here, and I've never really, it's always been just like a motorcycle stop for me, so I've never really dug in to I knew some of the history here, but I haven't really dug in deep to it. So after rolling through town and seeing how things are changing, made me realize I probably should come back into town and just kind of run through here real quick, because like in a lot of my videos, just trying to see things before they get entirely shut down. So the name Coulterville comes from a George and I think it was a Margaret Coulter, who I think they came from Pennsylvania. Came over to California during the gold rush. I think it was about 1849. Landed in Stockton originally, and then worked their way up to Solomon Gulch on the Merced River. I might have mentioned that in I think it was installment 8 of my Yosemite Valley Railroad videos. At least I should have mentioned that. Anyway, they wound up there, set up camp there. They were actually just supplying all the miners. They weren't actually, I guess, involved in the mining themselves. I got word that there was a new opportunity up here on Maxwell Creek, which is just behind us here. And so they moved up here, set up their shop a little west of here for about a year, and then moved up here into what would become Coulterville. So Coulter, who knew an opportunity when he saw it, again, set up his shop here in what is today Coulterville, but he did so knowing that the nearest supply area for the miners here on Maxwell Creek, which is really kicking off, the nearest supply place for them was 30 miles north of here in Sonora. And again, after a year or two here, set up a permanent building, and he was in business. So this is interesting. Coulterville burned to the ground 3 different times. And curiously, all 3 times were in the month of July. And also, maybe even more curious, they were in 20-year intervals. So the first time was 1859, second time was 1879, and the last time, 1899. All right, I can't believe the traffic that comes out whenever I pull out the camera. All right, the town of Coulterville is actually registered as a state historic site here in California. The reason being, there are 47 designated historic buildings right here in Sonora. And it's on the National Directory of Historic Places because of that. Fascinating stuff. All right, and this is the Coulterville Hotel. Actually, originally it was a private residence. And then at one point it was leased to George Coulter's son, who managed it, and it was called the Coulter Hotel. And eventually changing the name to the Coulterville Hotel. And actually it burned to the ground in the 1899 fire, and all that was remained was the rock walls. And of course that's all we see today, and there actually is a museum here. I was going to go into the museum, but as I pulled up, apparently the lady running the museum actually left. Go figure. All right, now adjoining the Coulter Hotel is the McCarthy store and Wells Fargo Bank building, which is right here. These big iron doors mark the McCarthy store and Wells Fargo Bank, and that's significant because McCarthy's one that originally built that hotel. And then again, just to eventually lease it to the son of, or George Coulter and his son managed the hotel. This is built in 1856, by the way. You can still see some of the writing on the walls here. Reading the, not quite phantom sign here, you can still read it. But it says Stanislaw, the best flower. And look at this. Still got our outhouse out back. And curiously, a big old freight car back there. That's fun, walking on a wooden deck. Maybe I shouldn't be up here. Boy, this Highway 49 is busy. All right, that little fun fact. So that's the Whistling Billy over there. And that was actually used at the Mary Harrison mine. That's what it was. And that ran on about, it could pull about, I think it was 15 ore cars, each car weighing about 5 tons. And it basically pulled the ore from the Mary Harrison mine on this real twisty rail for about, I think it was about 4 miles. And which at the time they called that the crookedest railway in the world. And by the way, that is the site of the town's hanging tree. At least that's the way the story goes. Yeah, it's Shaden Whistling Billy and not some outlaw hanging from the tree at this time. Now, if that's the original, I don't know, oak trees live to be very, very old, so maybe that is the original. But anyway, even if that is not the original, that is said to be the location of the town's hanging tree. All right, now this is one of the more unique buildings in town. This is the E.E. Warren building, or it was actually a store, a general store, and the store was on the bottom. The second floor was a meeting hall for the, if I'm saying correctly, the Knights of the Pythias, and this is actually where they would meet. Now the original building was destroyed in the what they call the Great Fire of 1899, but it was rebuilt shortly thereafter using quarried stone, which is what you see here now. And that wooden false front was added at that time as well, and it's stood ever since. So I like these little buttresses on the side here. That's kind of cool. Yeah, what a neat building. By the way, just as a perspective, we are right here. This is downtown Plaza, and the Hotel Jeffery, which we're going to go there next. Go there. We're already there. Let's talk about Hotel Jeffery next. All right, and here is the Jeffery Hotel. Now, you come into Coulterville, you cannot miss this. It's the largest and definitely most impressive building in town. This was built in 1851, and originally it was actually called the Mexican Hotel. Now, after about 1 year of operation, it was purchased by George Jeffery, and then the Jeffery family operated this for many, many years. Actually, they rebuilt it every time the town burned down. So 1859, '79, and then finally in 1899. And every time they rebuilt it, they added on to it. It got bigger and even better. And so the 1899 rebuild is what you see today. And now being on at that time, the only road into Yosemite National Park, which is right here in front of us, and we'll get more into that later in the video. This was a very, very busy hotel, and in fact, 1902, you had Teddy Roosevelt as one of the guests here on his way to Yosemite. Now, curiously, what I've read, this hotel was shut down in August of this year, 2024. No reason given, just saying that it didn't say it was a permanent shutdown, but that it was definitely shut down. Yeah, which is too bad. This place used to be pretty busy. I remember back in the day when I was riding motorcycles up here, people were actually renting rooms for the night or for the weekend. Hanging out in the cafe and the bar down below, the saloon, and it was a really nice place, just a nice destination. You see that, guys? That's a noise I've been dealing with all day. That's why I've been hiding in my car. Ooh, it's busy up here. You know, if I angle this just right, keep all the modern day traffic and noise out of the frame, it does feel kind of like the Old West. Which I guess at one time it was. Wow, what a cool piece of history. And then speaking of buildings that are shut down, look at this this is awesome. I love this building. Old convenience store with some a little gas, probably looked like it was maybe two gas pumps out front. How cool is that? And again, back when I was riding street bikes up here along Highway 49, right there in front of us, this is one of our favorite places to stop and just get something to drink, maybe get a snack. So yeah, no word on when this shut down and if it's ever going to reopen. Looking at the insides of it, I'm thinking not. I think it's done. All right, so this is the Sun Sun Wo store, which is, it's curious that Coulterville had one of the largest Chinatowns in all the Mother Lode. And this was built in 1851, and basically the adobe walls were formed by, they pulled up soil from the cellar that this building has. And that's how they made the walls. And curiously, they actually put soil on the roof, or earth on the roof, which actually is what helped it survive the 1899 fire. That's one of the few buildings that actually survived the 1899 fire. But also it helps insulate the building in the summer from the heat and the winter from the cold. And the store is named after the original owners, which is, if I'm saying it correctly, was it Mao Da-sun and his son Sun Kao. And it was the largest store in Coulterville under Chinese ownership. It remained in operation from 1851 all the way until 1926. By the way, there were different estimates on the population of Coulterville during its heyday. Some say as much as 5,000, maybe even a little bit more. And the estimated population here in the Chinatown part of Coulterville, which is actually just a little east of the downtown plaza, the population here, they think it was probably about 1,000 Chinese miners. Now, the story goes that the back side of the store, the property outside the store on the back, that was a small temporary gravesite there that the Chinese miners, if they died while here, they would actually bury them there until they could actually get the money to return the bodies home. It's all overgrown and covered by trees, so I couldn't get back there. And not only that, I feel like I'm kind of digging a little bit into some property that I shouldn't be trespassing on, so we're gonna leave that be. Here's another interesting story, though. What I've read, they say there's strong evidence that part of that store was an opium den. Hey, you're gonna get your party on. The Westerners would party down here at the saloons. The Chinese, I guess, would party there in the opium den. So, hey, what are you gonna do? you work hard, play hard. Okay, y'all, we are done here in Coulterville. Where we're going next, cool little piece. I hope I can get access to it. If so, I think you're going to enjoy this. It's a cool little piece of history, somewhat related with Coulterville and the original highway to Yosemite National Park. So let's get on up the mountain, whole lot of twisty roads. I was there probably over 30 years ago, and let's get to it. I want to show you this. And this is the Coulterville Public Cemetery. I wish I had more time. There's actually two grave sites I'd like to see. One is that of George. Is it George Jeffery? Yeah, George Jeffery, the owner of the Jeffery Hotel, the original owner. And the reason I want to see it is it's kind of curious that they actually spelled the name wrong on his headstone, of all things. But these are, as I've said in some of my previous videos, cemeteries are a really cool glimpse into the past. And wouldn't it be nice just to have a conversation with some of these folks that we can no longer speak with? But looks nice. Maybe we'll come back when I have more time, maybe a different time of year when it's not quite so hot and dusty out here. But all right, anyway, now we're really moving on out of town, headed up the road. So we're probably about 5 miles out of Coulterville, and this is the original route to Yosemite National Park. And back in the day, the origins of this was horse and buggy, man, and it was I heard this road deteriorated. They weren't exaggerating. So think about it. This was a 4-day journey from the valley floor. So you would depart the Central Valley floor, climb up to Coulterville, get on this road here, and continue on all the way to Yosemite National Park. And that 4-day journey is going to come into play at our next destination, and the part of that story that I definitely want to share with you all. All right, I'm going to get back to this choppy road. This is getting sketchy. So as I'm bouncing down this road, I have to wonder. Okay, you're riding down this road. It's a dirt road, rutted dirt road, rough. You're in a stagecoach with some pretty rudimentary suspension. But I'm looking at the scenery, and now keep in mind, this is late summer, so this is about as dry and dusty as it gets up here. And you look at spring, and throughout the winter, this is much more much less dusty, a lot, probably definitely more greener than it already is. So riding that stagecoach, I would have to think you would notice all of that, despite the fact that your vision's probably being blurred by bouncing along this rutted, nasty road. But what an adventure. All right, and here it is, y'all. All right, Coulterville Toll Road. I'm going to read the whole sign. This is interesting. This was the first road into Yosemite Valley. Originally a county road, it became a toll road and later again a county road. Opened in 1874 as an improved toll road, it has served continuously since that time. Beginning in 1956, the Northern California Yosemite Highway Association raised and spent $50,000 to rebuild the 14.7-mile portion from this site to Yosemite National Park to make the road more compatible with modern traffic. And what's curious, years ago, many years ago, I actually rode this. I had a dual sport motorcycle, and we rode this all the way into the park. But as you can see, this is pretty rough, and this is in better condition than most of what we just came down. But where we're headed, y'all, is right up the hill, up this dry, dusty trail. I'm hoping we get there. Let's see what happens. By the way, this is kind of typical of me. This is not ideal hiking weather. It's like 96 degrees, dry and dusty. And I'm on this trail all by my lonesome. I'm not seeing any tread from boots, but I'm seeing a lot of, I don't know if it's wild turkeys or what we got going on, but a lot of talon print, more talon prints than footprints. All right, look at this. All right, I'm thinking it's not that far. We'll find out here in a moment, or a few moments. Wow, dry throat. I'm breathing hard and I'm sweating, but we are here just beyond this rock outcropping. Let's see if we can get up there for a view. Okay, everybody, what we just followed, at least a good chunk of it, is the original path right here, all the way up to Bower's Cave, which, as you can see, way back, I know, here's the thing. I'll get into the history of this in a moment, but this has basically been shut down since 1956. At that time, someone fell, I think it was about 65 feet to their death, from an old wooden staircase, which was right beyond that gate there. That gate didn't exist back then, I don't believe, based on what I read. But let's get up high and see if we can get a better view. And then I'll tell you about what we're looking at here. All right, folks. Hey, I'm suffering for you on this one. It's hot. It's hot. Self-inflicted, but I'm still suffering for you. All right, we are here at a place called Bower's Cave. And I guess it's more accurately called a grotto. Now, Bower, originally, too many sentences going through my head. Now, what does Bowers mean? Bower basically, it was named Bowers because of the shading that was over the top of this cave. I guess this is what we're looking at here. And there's a whole lot of this going on around here. Now, this area has been known to the indigenous population for at least 300 years. The indigenous in this area, I believe, are the Miwok Indians. And they called this area, it's called U-Tin, if I'm saying that correctly, which basically what that means is evening star. Now who, I'm sorry, man, dry throat. It's warm. All right, so who first discovered this amongst the miners? That's kind of up to debate. Now, the first people to lay claim to this area was a gentleman, he was a miner, Nicholas, if I remember, Nicholas Army and Frederick, I'm reading this, y'all. I apologize, Frederick Schiebel. So they were the first to lay claim to this, and first thing they did, they thought, hey, this is a tourist destination. Now keep in mind, we are on the first route into Yosemite, and now at the time this was not open to Yosemite. However, it would soon become part of the stage route, and this area would become even more popular. Now in 1874, the first toll road in this area was established, and Bower's Cave was right along that route. And what this did for the stage, for those riding the stage, was, you can imagine, as warm and dusty and hot as it is today, this would be a welcome reprieve from all that, because it's interesting, as soon as you walk up on this area, you immediately feel the cool air. In fact, I felt the cool air just coming up the hill before I even seen it. So this definitely would have been a nice break and a stayover. Now also in 1874, they would actually build a hotel here because this area became so popular, and understandably so. But check this out, this is where it gets interesting. So the locals actually built an entertainment area down here, if you can call it, or venue is the word I'm looking for, an entertainment venue, and I'm going to see if I can show you that in a moment. Off over here, there's still remnants of the original stage, and then down below us, which I cannot get to, that was the platform where the visitors or the guests would to sit or stand to watch the entertainment, but also it was a dance floor. Now I'm not going down there today, that's prohibited, and not only that, it's just not safe going down there, especially not alone. I keep hearing noises, I apologize. However, a friend of mine, he came here, he didn't go down below either. However, he did obtain some photos from someone who actually literally rappelled down into the cave. So I'll put those photos in the video, because those are a good kind of a then and now. Where they rappelled down was actually the original staircase, and then there was another staircase alongside that actually went up to the entertainment area. So I took some photos earlier. I'll kind of crop in on those real good, and to kind of hopefully show you a good resolution of what we're looking at down here with regard to the stage. And yeah, let's come on over here. I'll show you a little bit of video of what we're working with. All right, now just below us here would have been the area for the dance floor, so which would be, I'll be on this rock. I'm tempted to crawl out there, but there's just no way. But this would have been the dance floor area and the viewing area, and then right beyond this tree, if you can see it right over. Let me get up here, make sure I'm pointing at the right spot. Right in here is the stage area. Let me zoom in here and see how this looks. All right, maybe that's better, I hope. What the camera is doing, I think it's exposing for the rocks in the tree, but again, I'll put that photo in here and kind of crop in on it and show you. But yeah, that's the original stage area still standing. I guess because that's out of the weather, that's still in pretty good shape. So what you do is you come in on that trail on the other side of those rocks that we walked up. You come on down through that gate that we looked at. You would descend down a long set of wooden staircase, and then let me stand over here. And then that would be the viewing and platform area down here. The entertainers would go up a second set of stairs right up into here, up to the stage. And then that stage actually had a rail on it. Yeah, and wow, man. It's amazing still what's here. Mother Nature is about all that's left, but it's amazing. It's all still here. And I guess that water quality was better at one time. Look at that. Talking about pond scum. Look at that. Woo, literally. All right, so get this. Originally, prior to them building a staircase, if you wanted to come here, you could, but you were literally lowered down into the bottom. Is my thumb pointing at the hole? You were literally lowered into the bottom of the cave in what they call basically a bathtub size container. lowered it down with a windlass. So basically they would hand crank you down, hand crank you back out. So that's some serious dedication to adventure right there. And eventually, again, somewhere 1874, somewhere around there when they built the hotel, is also about the time they built the staircase. So, which in 1956, that original staircase is the one that collapsed. And that my understanding is a gentleman fell to his death, which kind of ended the open access to this thing. And understandably so. But wow, look at that. All right, y'all, this, fortunately, this rock, a lot of traction with the hiking shoes. If it weren't for that, we would be not getting far. Luckily, there's good traction on this. It's like what is this? Somebody speak out to me. Is this it's not granite, is this like a marble? Interesting rock. Good traction on it, but man, let me tell you, it's deceptively steep. I keep trying to make sure I'm pitching myself this way and not that way. There it is all. Bower's Cave, or grotto. Could you imagine when the entertainers up here just handling business, folks are down here dancing, got all the candlelight going. Could you imagine the sound emanating out of this cavern? That would be, wow, that would be fascinating. Wow. You know, it's pretty well known that the naturalist John Muir, on his very first visit to Yosemite, he actually followed this toll road that we came in on today. What I've not read, and maybe it's easy enough to find, I just missed it, but did he visit here, Bower's Cave? I would have to think he did. You know, he had to hear about this, so I'm sure he was here. Look at the stalagmites over there. Wow. How about this? Can you imagine too how beautiful this is in the winter when there's water cascading off the rocks and all the grass is green? I bet that is beautiful. And of course, here I am up here late July in the heat when it's dry and dusty. Go figure. Yeah, go figure. Leave it to me. And something I almost forgot to mention. All right, we all know Charles Lindbergh, right? The famous pilot. His son John came here in, I think it was 1953. John was a scuba diver or a diver, and he descended into the bottom of Bower Cave. I'm assuming that was long before all the pond scum was down there, and explored. I guess there's a huge lake underneath the cave here, which is not that unusual for the caves here in California. But he went diving and did a lot of exploration down there. Had a great time. 1953, just a few years before it was closed. And by the way, I should mention this. Let me flip the screen. And so with the all-weather highway built in 1926, which would be ultimately 24 to 26, which in 1926 would be designated the California Highway 140. With that being built, that was a much faster route into Yosemite, and I think there was at least one other route open at that time as well. Anyway, and then when, of course, the mining in Coulterville had faded, a few decades before, so this area just basically became almost abandoned, known only to the locals. And being closed in 1956, lay here again. Just the locals began exploring it, and visitors like myself hearing about it. But in 1991, this would be acquired by the U.S. Forest Service. And that's kind of where we're at today. It's interesting, there is an opening to hike up here to the cave. However, as you saw by the gate, they definitely do not want you in here. In fact, I might be borderline out of bounds here right now myself. I'm not even sure. All right, we're gonna get on out here, y'all. It's hot, as you can see by the perspiration on my brow. You know, but this is what I do for you. And yeah, give me some water here before it gets any warmer, laying on the rock, and work our way back down the hill to Coulterville. Thankfully, the roads are much smoother coming back down once we get away from Bower Cave. By the way, while I was up there, is interesting. You could hear everything, going on around you. And I was up there probably about an hour and a half, and I heard 2 cars the entire time I was up there. Once when I was at the cave, and once when I got back down by the car. So, and probably not even 100 yards from where we're at, the asphalt ends and it just turns to dirt. So probably has something to do with that. So, but that was fun. That was cool, being on the original road into Yosemite National Park. And that is the Coulterville Toll Road. So what to make of Coulterville? And then from my own experience coming up here, which was probably the early 80s, when I was, again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, riding motorcycles up here, stopping at that cool little old gas station there, a convenience store, and stopping right here at the Hotel Jeffery, which we're parked right next to, going in there for something to eat. And for me it seemed like it was a lot busier back then, as far as people coming here making this a destination. It just seems a lot quieter now, despite how busy it was this morning. But then that was the highway workers, Caltrans, and the garbage trucks running around. A lot of little business stuff going on here, but I don't see a lot of tourist activity. It just seems very quiet. So now, again, I've not been up here much at all in the last 15 years or more, so I'm not an expert on that. But it does seem that it's changing, and which again is why I wanted to come back. So a cool spot. Definitely come up here. There are a few little cafes here. There is a very small convenience store which was closed today. But normally it's open, I understand. At least that's what the schedule showed. So come have a look at it, So I guess let's come look at all this while we still can, and take a little snapshot in history, and just experience it. So that was it. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we will see you soon in the next video. All right, thanks for tagging along. All right, let's see where this takes us. Well, that was a dead end, literally, like it says right here. But for a moment, we got to go on a really old piece of 49, like one lane. All right, that's it. Let's go home.